back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Studio Series 1986 Deluxe Class Sharkticon Gnaw, and oh boy, do I love this figure. He may in fact actually be my favourite out of the second wave of 86 figures, despite Slug and Wreck-Gar absolutely smashing it. I've had the most enjoyment out of actually transforming this guy back and forth, and really have got very similar vibes to when I picked up the Alicon in Wave 2 Earthrise. Before we actually get into this video, I personally think that all of the Sharkticon releases that we've gotten have been pretty damn awesome, hence why I probably wasn't that excited for this release, but this guy is by far the best one that we've gotten. He's super cool, and oh boy, when we get him into that Sharkticon mode, wow. So let's take a look here at the details of the robot mode. First of all, I absolutely love the colour scheme that we've got going on here. I think it's probably one of the best painted Studio Series figures that we've ever gotten, and I think the mixture of the pinks, the greys, as well as this really almost greyish purple tint that we've got for the biceps and for some other parts of the body all complement each other and work incredibly well. You can see here for the head sculpt, I think this looks really well done. I actually like how the eyes of the bot mode head are slightly recessed. It creates for a much more realistic look, and honestly is super cool. All of the paint apps have been applied incredibly well. You can see some lovely detail here on the roof of the actual shark mouth, something which you won't actually see all that much in the shark mode, so that really is a nice attention to detail. You can see all of this cybernetic detailing that we've got going on here for the top of the shoulders, here for the arms. I think these two have turned out really well. Of course, we'll take a look at the weapons in just a second, but the entire body has been completely painted, as so has the jaw, so they really have gone all out with this figure. You can see some nice silver, red, as well as some metallic green highlights here for the torso region. We've got this very awesome creamish colour going on with some metallic green highlights there. I will, however, say that just be cautious that you don't chip any of the paint, seeing as in conversion you'll have to spin this around and you can accidentally actually bump it into other components, but of course we'll discuss that later on in the video. You can see here for the lower section of the legs, I think the colour of purple they've used is perfect, and that sculpted in detailing really does look magnificent, with of course the blue boots here and of course some pink heel spurs. You will actually notice that this section is pink painted, whereas the pink here for the legs is cast plastic. I think the colour match is near enough spot on. The only difference is that this one here has a slightly glossier finish, whereas of course this is a little more matte, but when we actually get him transformed up you won't notice anything different. As we spin around here to the back, you can see we've got the Sharkticon fin, which you can actually remove to utilise as a weapon for Gnaw in robot mode, and you can see we've merely just got the head here, which doesn't look the best, but we'll touch base with this more during transformation. I am not, however, a big fan of the arms here of the Sharkticon mode. To me it looks as if though he's grabbing his own belly, perhaps giving himself a massage during combat. It definitely doesn't look the best, and once again this was also an issue I believe I had with the Alicon, was that the arms from his alternate mode did end up in a really wacky place in the robot mode, and Gnaw here is no exception. So it would have been awesome if they could have found a way to have just maybe tucked those into this hollow cavity, but honestly it's just a minor critique for what is otherwise a pretty spot on figure. Now as far as articulation goes, we do get a ball joint here at the head which can look left to right, as well as a hinge joint up and down due to transformation, so we do get a decent range of motion there. The arms are on ball joints, so can rotate the full 360 as well as hinge out to the sides. Rotation here at the bicep, slightly past 90 here at the elbow, only on a single hinge joint. Sadly no form of wrist rotation due to transformation, and no waist rotation, although the legs can kick forwards that far as well as back to that far, and depending on how you have them posed, he can't really do the split in a natural way. You sort of have to bend it here, and then it does allow for a little bit of a greater range of motion. It's simply just down to the fact of how this section's been sculpted and of course how low the belly actually sits, but we do get a rotation here at the thigh as well as a 90-degree bend there at the knee, and due to transformation you can also utilize the transformation joint to sort of give you a double hinge joint. And then here for the ankle, we do get a fantastic ankle rocker pivot, albeit one of the ugliest cuts that we've seen from Studio Series so far. It would have been awesome if they could have found a way to perhaps added an additional piece of plastic so that when you did hinge this out it looked a little more coherent than just being as if though Gnaw's had his foot sliced clean off. But you can see how this does fit onto the top section of the shin, so there probably wouldn't have been any room to actually add an additional component. Now as we turn to weapons, of course as per tradition with the Sharkticons, the tail does become a mace, and I think the sculpt work on this looks really cool. You can see it's been cast out of blue plastic, and once again you can see the difference between the painted blue as well as the cast blue. I think it near enough perfectly matches, much like we got with the pinks. And we also do get a blaster, which upon actually seeing this for the first time I did believe was completely painted, however has in fact just been cast out of a really awesome grey with a pink hue type of plastic. I think it looks really nice. The sculpt work is very cool. This actually never featured in the animation, but was something that the original toy came with, so I am glad they did pack this in with Gnaw. But it would have been awesome, considering they're packaging in toy accurate weapons with these 86 figures. How comes the Dinobots don't have their swords? I'd much rather the swords than those static minifigures that they seem to continuously keep giving us. Now before we actually get into some comparisons, something worth mentioning is that you can actually remove this. Now I'm not entirely sure if this is intentional or not, but I don't see why it wouldn't be. So you simply hinge up here and you can see we've got a sliding joint. You can just completely completely slide the backpack clean off, compress that, and there you've got basically a kibbleless Sharkticon. So I do think this was intentional, because this here doesn't play any role in transformation at all, and there's no reason as to why they couldn't glue that in there. So I do definitely think it was their intention for this to be removed. Unlike RC, you can't really use this as a hoverboard, or unlike Ironhide, you can't really use it as a shield, but it is something that you can do, and to be honest with you, I actually do think in some regards makes the Sharkticon look a little better. And of course, you can just take this here, slide that back on, and there you've got the Sharkticon fully completed, looking super, super cool. For some other Quintesson minion comparisons, of course, we've got the Sharkticon Gnaw compared next to Earthrise Alicon, as well as the Quintesson Bailiff, and I think the scale works pretty well here. You can see that they're all very similar as far as design is concerned, very squat looking robot modes, which is really, really cool. And once we actually get them transformed up into beast mode, you'll also once again see similarities. And just to give you a comparison between the actual Sharkticon that came packaged in the Pit of Judgment set, you can definitely see that this was a very good figure, especially considering that it was not a deluxe. I believe this was supposed to be a Legends class, so you can definitely see the similarities, but ultimately here with the deluxe class scale, they have been able to achieve so much more. And as mentioned before, this is by far the best mass-produced Sharkticon Gnaw that we have ever gotten from Hasbro and Takara Tomy. Now, transformation for the Sharkticon. As you may recall, earlier on in the review, I said that I had the most fun with this guy out of Slug and Wreck-Gar, and definitely it's all mainly down to that transformation, as it's super fun, however really brand new as far as conversion goes. So let's begin. Of course, you're going to want to remove both of the weapons and just set them here off to the side. We can take the heel spurs, collapse them into their hollow cavities, and repeat the same process here with the hands. You're going to want to come here to the back, disengage this, and lift this entire region up, which will then allow you to completely rotate the entire body. And as you do that, you can see Takara and Hasbro actually sculpted and painted the entire underside of this, which was something they didn't have to do, but I'm so glad they did. That is an amazing attention to detail. So just rotate that section there all the way around. We can then take this back section, hinge this up, which will then allow us to utilize both the knee joint as well as this lower foot joint in order to curl the feet up, so that these hollow spaces do in fact become filled in by these 5mm pegs. So just snap that there into place. Of course, come here to this side and repeat the exact same process, and then it is just a matter of bringing this up and over. You can see how we have two tabs here and here which are going to fill these spaces, and then we also have two hollow spaces here which are going to become filled by these tabs. So align all this up appropriately, and then once you've done that, you can see this tab will in fact lock into place. We can then bring the Sharkticon arms down and repeat the same process. Come here to the legs, angle these appropriately. We can bring back in the tail, put that into place, rotate this around, and then here with the blaster, we've got a peg here on the side that this can very nicely tab into, and you can see here we've got the Sharkticon fully transformed up into the shark mode, and oh boy does this look excellent. This is such a fantastic sculpt and a really fun transformation, a transformation which honestly, if you were to speed time yourself, you could probably get done, I would say, in 10 to 15 seconds if you were super quick. It's a really enjoyable conversion, very quick and simple, and results in a really awesome shark as well as robot mode. We'll take the blaster off here for now, just as I don't want to ruin the overall look here of the shark mode. You can see this is such a fantastic sculpt, especially where that face is concerned. The mixture of metallic green that we've got going on here for the eyes, as well as the pink and the grey, all of this is in fact paint, which is so awesome to see. I wasn't a huge fan of seeing the head just poking out here, but the way they've actually painted it, it does sort of resemble the tongue, so I can't really complain all that much. The only thing we're really missing here are the two little antlers that would stick up from either side of the face, but with no doubt a third-party company is going to come out with some form of upgrade set, and that definitely really would complete the look. You can see we've got the fins as well as the scales here on the back, which I think have all turned out really awesome. Cybernetic detailing, which looks fantastic, and we can even see some detailing on the back of the head, which, as mentioned before with some of the other components, is something that Hasbro and Takara Tomy didn't even have to do. Of course, we've got the tail. I absolutely love how basically the robot curls into this very circular design here. I think that's so awesome. The detail here for the fingers, very skeletal in design, looks super awesome, and this guy just reminds me of a piranha, or that really evil fish in the first Nemo movie. Definitely very vicious looking and super cool. As far as articulation is concerned, we can open and close the upper jaw as well as the lower jaw, so depending on how you have these posed, you could definitely hide the head away, especially if you have it in this sort of configuration. We do get a hinge joint here at the arm going forwards and backwards, as well as here at the elbow, and here for the legs, these are on ball joints, so you really can manipulate those to your own personal desire, and the tail can hinge up and down as well as rotate the full 360. So overall, as far as the actual Sharktacon mode is concerned, I absolutely love this. It's by far my preferred look out of his two modes, but of course, this is what the Sharktacons are known for, their shark modes, and I'm really interested to see as to whether or not Hasbro and Takara are going to give us any repaints of this guy. As of course, with the Alicon, we got him remolded into the Quintesson Bailiff, and I'm pretty certain that they won't just leave this mold. I'm sure we will definitely see it again in one form or another. Once again, bringing in some of those Quintesson minions, you can see the new Sharktacon Gnaw compared next to the Titan's Return / Pit of Judgment Sharktacon, as well as the Alicon and the Bailiff in their alligator alternate modes, and I think he works really well with these guys. You saw that in robot mode he was pretty much exactly the same height as these, but here in beast mode, or shark mode I guess you could say, he is definitely a lot smaller and more squat, much like we actually saw in the movie. And just by comparing him here to this Sharktacon, a Sharktacon which I actually always thought was a really good release, you can see that they definitely can still work together on a shelf. For those who perhaps army builded this guy, and now that we've got this release, you're probably thinking, oh, these are useless. I wouldn't think so. I think all of the Sharktacon releases have been pretty decent, so for those who still want to keep the older figures in with the newer figures, I definitely think this is something that can work. But of course, when you actually do compare them, there is no denying that the new deluxe version is superior. I'm not going to say obliterate, as I still do think that is a very good mold, especially for a Legends class, but definitely as far as accuracy to the 86 movie is concerned, this Studio Series figure is the best one that you can get so far. And so, some final thoughts here for Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class Sharktacon Gnaw. If you haven't guessed already from this review, I really like this figure. As mentioned before, he's probably my highlight out of the entire second wave of these 86 figures. Upon seeing some of the initial images, I wasn't all that impressed, but actually getting him in hand, he's barrels of fun, which ultimately I think is all that really matters. The more enjoyment that you get out of a figure, the more fun and the more that you're actually going to like it, and that is exactly how I feel with this Sharktacon. The robot mode, whilst of course not 100% perfect to the show, I think looks really cool. I think the articulation for such a stocky character is really well done. I really love the colour scheme. I think it's one of the best painted Studio Series figures that we've gotten from this subline so far. I do not like the fact that the Sharktacon arms do kind of rub his belly in the robot mode, but of course you can hinge them to the back a little more, or you could just remove that entire component as showcased. I really like the accessories. The inclusion of the blaster is a very nice touch, and the transformation is super fun and super simplistic, but yet results in a very awesome shark mode, and this is no doubt how I shall in fact be displaying him on my shelf, as I think the shark mode is just wow. It looks so good. The attention to detail on the teeth, the pink, the green eyes, everything about it, even the overall shape, I think just works so well. So definitely this guy I would say gets a 9 out of 10 for me, and I definitely would not sleep on this figure if you are slightly on the fence, as if past experience is anything to go by. The Sharktacons are always the best army builders, so collectors are going to be scooping them up, and this guy may in fact actually be really difficult to find, much like has been proven with the Studio Series Scourge. That figure near enough sold out instantly, and you still cannot even track him down. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I would love to know down in the comment section below whether or not you guys agree with my thoughts on this. Should I be praising him as highly as I am? Are you slightly let down by him, or has he exceeded your expectations? I thank you all so much for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.